Dr. Emily here. Let's talk a minute about vibe coding, right? And what this means for the future of software development. Are software developers going extinct, or is this just a blip in the road and the world is changing? So, did you know that everything that's happening with the AI revolution in terms of software development has happened before? Yeah, so I was just sitting here, doing my writing where I kind of map out my day. And, I've been reading these articles about how, vibe coding is out there, AI is out there, developers are going to be replaced. And it's true that AI has completely transformed how people create prototypes. But for something that's actually reliable and robust in the real world, you can't just rely on AI alone. You actually need to have it up and working according to company standards. So, yes, startups have shrunk. The ability to start up has totally shrunk, but developers aren't going away. Yes, the industry is changing. But did you know that as an industry, we have already lived through this? So it's going back a ways, but the same type of shift happened back in the 1960s and 70s. Whoa, I'm digging far back in tech history, aren't I? But the idea is that there was originally, before there was high level languages like C, Java, JavaScript, and Python, there was something called assembler. This is not zeros and ones, right? Zeros and ones, machine code, that was like way back in the day. That was like 40s and 50s. That was in the beginning. That's like when they were, zeros and ones replaced them physically moving plugs in the computers, when computers were the size of rooms and warehouses. But once computers started shrinking, and we started to get to use paper, right, to program the computers, there was something called assembly. And assembly is also known as three address code. It's where you have a short word that says what you can do with something, and then two arguments, two parameters. That's it. Like literally every line in your code is a direction, an instruction, and then up to two parameters. So what could you do with that? I mean, they built pretty crazy systems with it, but what could we do with that? You could move a value from one location to another in memory, a specific area of memory called registers. You could check if a value stored in memory was zero. You could go to another line in the program, like literally a go to, like here, go start executing over here, not function calls. Forget that. So that's where we started, right? That level of control. And so when C first came out, that was really like the first major one that got adoption. There were languages A and B before that. Like C was the third. C was the one that took off. But when that came out, the assembly programmers were super staunch and they were like, no, the computer can't do it for us. So C came with something called a compiler, which took a high level language written by humans. So it's more human reading, more human readable, more human writable, and converted it into assembly automatically. This was revolutionary. But the assembly programmers were pretty staunch advocates. There's no way a computer could automatically do this faster than me, right? Which people are now saying, right, there's no way that AI can code better than a software developer. Well, let's look back at this point and moment in history. What happened to assembly programmers? They became C programmers. Did all the programmers disappear just because C, the tool out there, could do what they did better? No, they're still here. Right? Like 50 years later, we still have software developers. So I think the boat that people are missing is that how we develop software is changing. What we require of our software developers is changing. And so training programs like we offer at TechJoy, where we actually train students to lead, to help understand and interpret client and stakeholder concerns and directives and actually deliver on time, right? That is something that we uniquely offer as part of our training program that most places don't. So it doesn't really matter how the tech changes under the hood if the framing of the educational setup environment is set up to actually work with this new paradigm of AI coding. Like AI isn't going away, but just because AI is here and can do the work of like 10 developers doesn't mean software developers aren't required. It just means they're evolving. Because at the end of the day, When a CEO is building a multi-million dollar company, are they going to sit there and vibe code their next thing? No, they're going to vibe code their next prototype and then hand it over to somebody who actually knows what they're doing to build it scalably, robust, reliably, all the things that senior software engineers do now. So basically, what AI is doing is raising the bar. It's raising the bar so junior developers, yeah, those jobs, those ones are kind of at risk because a senior developer armed with AI can replace many of them. But what happens when there's no more senior developers? We have to have a mechanism to train them. And I think I've created that inside the TechJoy Career Academy. So if you're thinking about a career in tech and you want to use this new tool AI and actually function and deliver, come join me, right? I'm hosting a live event this week and let's get you rocking and rolling. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.